Welcome to Front Row Racing. We're nearly at the time for the World Series Round 4 at Bahrain to get going in qualifying. But before we actually head over to the circuit, I'm just going to go through a few little bits of information from the last event, and perhaps even a little bit of information for this coming event. Now, usually we would have Front Row Racing RI joining us in the commentary box or in the pit lane for the World Series events. Unfortunately, Ray is unwell this week, and actually his husband, like Ray Chell Brooks' husband, was going to join us in the commentary box in the form of Kev187 or Kev Brooks. However, Kev has been commandeered by his better half, shall we say, for this evening. So, joining me in the commentary box tonight, you all know who he is, James Huntenberger. How are you this evening, James?
Oh, I'm feeling good, and I am wishing Ray all the best, and I hope he gets well soon, ASAP.
So do I. Now, you say you're feeling good, but that's not what you were telling me 10 minutes ago when you was on about what happened when you got to work, but we'll get on to that a little later. Because I said to you, a little bit of information I'll tell you about is it's a good job that our commentary box doesn't have a built-in bathroom or right next to it, because if it did, we would both be gassed right now, because I've not been too well today either. So we're thankful for once, we're thankful for those rows of toilets you see at festivals and stuff like that, and an air-conditioned commentary box. Anyway,
and as I've seen from an idiot abroad in these countries, they don't have toilets; they just have holes. You just have to go on floor.
That is very true.
Little squat.
Okay, a little bit of information for everybody. Confirmation of last week's result. Hindle took the victory. Hybrid Nuke second place there in victorious Secret Williams Racing. Acorn 95 came third. For Killer Acorn Mercedes. His teammate Dave the Harp didn't have a great race though. Reserve driver in McCharles McLaren Honda of Millstar, he finished in fourth place, did very, very well. And Scuderia Ferrari, otherwise known as Midlands Madness, we'll find the actual team on the screen. Front Row Racing GP came fifth. Andy Russell was sixth with his teammate Richie Davey in seventh place for Godolphin Sauber. And then in eighth place was Dave the Harp taking his permanent drive in the Mercedes. In ninth we had Ant69 for Underdog Racing. In 10th place was Farth, but received a few penalties unfortunately in the Mana Marussia. And his teammate was in 11th place. And then in 12th we had Adam 4600, unfortunately finishing out of the points, and My Bad also finishing out of the points in 13th place for Midlands Madness. And Charlie, if you're listening, turn off the live stream, it'll help with your connection. For Charles McLaren Honda, finished 14th place unfortunately. On the road he actually finished 4th, but received a DSQ for no race footage. Very unfortunate for him. He was recording, it got corrupted, and unfortunately ended up with a DSQ. Okay, I think all the drivers are ready, so let's head off to the racetrack for round 4 of the Front Row Racing World Series at Bahrain. Now, James, you've not really watched many of these guys race much this season, so you have asked who's worth keeping an eye on. I mentioned to you, Hindle, he's definitely one to keep an eye on. Hindle and Hybrid Nuke, they seem to be the guys to potentially beat at the moment, because they have locked out the front row of the grid in qualifying for the last 2 races. And in the constructors' standings, with the result from last week, they have taken first place in the constructors with 92 points. In second place is Killer Acorn Mercedes on 67. In third is Midlands Madness Ferrari on 61 points. In fourth is Godolphin Sauber on 32 points. Underdog Racing Red Bull on 22 points. McCharles McLaren Honda and ninth off Mana Marussia on 1 point. Now, Victoria's Secret have pulled away a bit, but after that it's quite close. So tonight's quite an important race. I will go through the drivers' standings in a moment, but you don't know a lot about these guys, James, but do you think that Hindle and Hybrid Nuke are going to go and lock out the grid again?
Oh no, this circuit, it throws up a few surprises, and we saw from last night, the times are so close. If you make one tiny mistake, that could cost you at least 5 positions.
Definitely. And an interesting little tidbit of information from the practice sessions over the last couple of days is that the likes of Hindle has been getting a little bit frustrated because he has been having laps invalidated. With the FIA bringing in the new better strict, well, some won't think it's better, I do, the new stricter white line ruling, nice to know you agree. We'll move the Portaloo a little further away just to benefit us because you agree. Yeah, Hindley's been having a few laps invalidated, so our potential pole sitter could find this track a little bit of a tricky one. Now, the drivers' standings, while we'll let you have a look at anyone that goes out on the circuit. The drivers' standings, we have Front Row Racing GP for Midlands Madness Ferrari leading the standings on 53 points. In second place is Hindle on 49 points. In third is his teammate Hybrid Nuke on 43 points. In fourth, is Acorn 95 on 33 points. In fifth, we've got Adam 4600 on 16 points. Then we got Richie Davey and Andy Russell also on 16 points. We then got My Bad on 8 points, Ant 69 on 6, Dave the Harp on 4, Farfbert on 1. Then we got Charlie, Front Row Racing NW, and Rickster all on 0 points. So the battle for the lead of the standings could all change here this evening.
Yeah. We've got Nightwalker, he's out on circuit, and he's got the hard tyres on at the moment. He may have watched last night's race and realised what Overdyking was trying to do was quite possibly could have been the race-winning strategy, but unfortunately he had a few mistakes. It was a little bit scruffy in the middle of the race, and maybe he's thinking, well, if I can do one better than Overdyking, it's going to raise my profile even higher.
Quite possibly. Now, I do have a little bit of additional information about Overdyking's reasoning for starting on the prime tyre, and according to the rumour mill, it was a temperature related one. Wanted to use the prime tyres at the start of the race where the temperatures were a little bit higher, use the option tyres where the temperatures dropped a bit, which isn't a bad plan. But, I mean, I watched the race back last night and I was kind of surprised that he didn't gain as much as was perhaps possible when he was on those option tyres. I expected him to be able to catch up and attack the fight for the win, but Stocky, he managed to take the victory last night. And I tell you what, here's some extra little bit of information. Last season's World Series qualifying pole position lap time was a 1:31.755. I'd expect that to get smashed today, potentially down to about a 1:31.0. But here's another little treat of information. Stocky, last night's race winner, he did a reserve drive in the World Series last season, and his qualifying lap time was only a 1:32.157. So he's made huge improvements from when he reserve raced around here last season compared to last night's race in the World Championship.
Yep, he's stocky in the World Championship. I know it's a bit late in the day to say it after he's won a race, but I said at the beginning of the race, in China, Stocky spun on the first lap, was aiming completely the wrong direction, and he only finished about 5 seconds behind Overdyking, who had no problems throughout the race.
Yep.
So Stocky has got pure race pace.
He definitely has.
And it just shows that these feeder series do work.
Yep. Now, from the Racing NW, he's posted his lap time on the prime tyre. It's only put him in 12th place, though. I'm just having a quick look at Adam 4600 in the Underdog Racing Red Bull car. Let's see how he's going to get on through Sector 2 here. 29.5 Sector 1. Could do with finding about half a second to a second through there if he could. But this track is a temperature-related one. It's just gone a little bit wide.
Yeah, Acorn 95 has just popped in 07. Is currently in P1, but I do expect that time is going to drop significantly.
Now it looks like he's backed out of his lap at the moment. Dave the Hart was about to cross the line. He's just started his flying lap, so we'll see how his lap is going to fare. Sector 1 time, a really good one. You're looking at 28.5s, 28.6s. Sector 2's 31.1s, I think it was, or 30.1s. I can't remember now. It might have been a 29.1. We'll have to wait until we get there for me to remember.
So he's currently on 29.1, and that is on the prime tyre, so that's not too bad. He's about 4/10 off what he would be running in a set of options. He's gone touch wide there through that hairpin. So we're just heading down to a double left-hander. This is probably the most not the most difficult, but it's where you can easily lose time through that corner.
Very much so. Now, with a few of these guys starting on the prime tyres, there is a chance that they're trying to emulate what Overdyking was doing yesterday. But there is also the chance that they're just using the prime tyre now to put a few laps in, then they're going to put the options on and save the option tyres for the race. This should be potentially a two-stop race. Last season, the on-the-road race winner was Richie Davey, and he did a three-stop race. The 5 cars behind him did 2 stops, so we could see 2 and 3 stops from these drivers. So maybe for some of the guys, it's just use the primes, save the options. But it's a 132.6 for Dave the Hart, and that puts him in 4th place. But I tell you what, Front Row Racing GP, he's gone and stuck it on pole position. He's now on an in-lap with a 131.658. Now, Hindle, he's in 3rd and on an in-lap on the prime tyre.
Just see where Acorn was, because I know that he were only a 10th behind that pole position time. We'll just see where Acorn is currently standing, unless he's in the pits. So yeah, Acorn is only 1/10 behind GP. He's currently, we're both matched in Sector 1. In Sector 2 he's dropping 3/10 to GP, and that's where GP's got the time. But then in Sector 3 Acorn's gaining the time back, so could we see here GP running a touch more downforce than Acorn?
Quite possibly. Now, Hybrid Nuke, he's leaving the pits now. He's on a set of prime tyres. So is Charlie, who's just gone through Sector 1 with a 29.2. That's not too bad a Sector 1 on the prime tyres, really. A 10th off what Dave the Arb did is ran a little bit wide at the hairpin, though. Now, the game, or the clerk of the course may disallow his lap there. If they have, he'll be a little frustrated, but he's got plenty of time to go and get another lap in.
Talking about super fast and super close times, we've now got Farthba, if that's how you pronounce his name. He's popped in 2nd place, and now he's 0.08 of a second behind GP. So this is getting very close. Okay. Acorn's currently out there, and he's just set a personal best in Sector 1. So he may be pushing like mad to try and regain 2nd or 1st.
Okay, let's see if we can go in. Acorn's actually in the pits. It's just showing that he's got the fastest Sector 1 time. Right. GP's got the fastest Sector 2. Farthba's got the fastest Sector 3. I think Dave the Harper, he's still going around on the prime tyres. And what we really want to be looking for are cars on the options. Now, Hybrid Nuke, he's got a couple of corners to go until he gets to start his flying lap on this set of prime tyres. So I'm going to ride on board with him because I'm interested to see what he's capable of doing on the primes. His teammate has done, I think, a 133 on the prime tyre. So around the final corner then, heading up to the start finish line. DRS will be open before the lap begins. Interesting that I've seen a few drivers using this particular line down to turn 1, perhaps not realising that they are off the racing line going down the start finish, picking up dirt and rubber marbles on their tyres, affecting how their car will handle into turn 1. they are better off running across the grid slots down the start-finish straight. It's the cleaner part of the circuit. But let's see what his Sector 1 time will be. It could be in the 28s. No, it's a 29.0. So he's faster than Dave the Heart was through Sector 1 on the primes. But again, running on...
nice line through that hairpin compared to Dave. Dave did leave a generous amount on the apex.
That he did. Oh, he's had to adjust his steering. He couldn't get it turned into the apex at turn 10. I mean, as you said, it's not the most nasty of corners, but it is a corner where you get it slightly wrong, you can lose a chunk of time. And if you're on these prime tyres, it can take a lap or two just to get them up to temperature. And it almost looks like he's taking this lap a little bit cautious, just to warm the tyres up, see what lap he gets. A 39.8 Sector 2, not too bad, but 7/10 off a really, really good option sector around the final corner. He does look like he's just taking it cautious.
Yeah, I know that the game is quite harsh with the white line, but you can run that front left over them curves and gain way more speed running down onto this main straight. And the drivers do seem to be intimidated by these track limits at the moment.
That they do. Well, he has continued on for a second lap, so I'll just see if his first sector is up on what he's just previously done. And he's just
watching Acorn, and he's following behind. He's trying to improve on his Sector 1. Let's see if it's any better than a 28.8.
He's on the option tyre.
No, he hasn't.
Now,
yeah, he's gone slower.
Hybrid Nuke did manage to do, I think it was a 28.9 Sector 1 on the prime tyres. Option, a 28.9, is only matching what Hybrid Nuke has just done on the prime tyre. Now,
we've now got GP is just finishing Sector 1. Let's see what it is. It's a 29.1.
Oh, a little off pace for him there.
The track temperatures may be not favouring these tyres at the moment.
That is quite possible. Apologies for a bit of dodgy camera work there. Oh, Acorn, he may have just ran a little bit wide. It's only a 40.0 Sector 2. That's a lot slower than he would have wanted. I mean, Hybrid on the prime tyre, again, has had a faster Sector 2 time. I don't think this is going to improve Acorn's overall lap time here. I think Hybrid may have been pulling into the pits just ahead of him. But let's see, is Acorn going to improve? No, it's only a 32.1. He's going to be disappointed with that. Okay, Rickster, he's out on track, penultimate corner, getting ready to start a flying lap. Acorn has retired from the session, so maybe he's realising yet temperatures have dropped a little bit too much. So let's see how Rickster's going to get on then on the option tyre, about to start a flying lap. If you want to take us through that lap, James.
Okay, so he's just bombing onto the start-finish straight, and he took a decent amount of curve there. And here we go, he's just popping it into 8th gear now. Well, let's see where he brakes. He's braking at just before the 100-metre board, getting it turned in. That was sweet on the apex, hard on the power. The rear end wanted to kick out, and oh, this lap is already, he'll be down by at least 2 or 3 tenths on what he could have been. Turn 1 was perfect, turn 2 was awful. Now we're turning through turn 4, and the rear end once again wanted to kick out, and into this tight. We've got to keep it nice and tidy through here, not running too wide down into the hairpin.
Half a second he lost in Sector 1.
Yeah, that's really scuppered him now, and he's heading into the dreaded double left-hander. Is the rear end, what's that going to be doing? Oh, he's had to run on the curve to try and correct the rear end. It's just not, it's like a bucking bronco, that McLaren at the moment. Ron Dennis will be pulling the rest of his air out, and he's turning in up the hill. That was a sweet corner, but once again the rear end is not looking like it's connected, and it doesn't look like it wants to obey the pilot's demands, and the rear end once again having to correct that oversteer. Now we're just heading down to the final corner. You've got nothing left to lose now. You may as well chuck this into the final corner. Braked fairly early there. His potential could have been more if he'd have just kept control of the rear end, and it's a 32.9. That's currently in 5th place, that's not what you'd be wanting out of a fresh set of options.
Definitely not. Farfber, he's about to start a flying lap. Hindle has gone and taken pole position while we're watching Rickster, so we haven't seen his lap there. But Farfber's about to start one on a set of options. And I tell you what, Rickster's lap, he had a beautiful turn 1, a beautiful final corner. The rest of it, that rear end was all over the place, just making it really difficult for him. Well, let's see how Farfber gets on then. Hard on the brakes into turn 1, just about keeping it away from the apex of turn, well, not opening up turn 2, shall we say. Now running up the hill towards turn 4, tricky off camber corner. How's his car going to handle here? He's aggressive on the brakes, getting the car turned in, and it's just looking stable on the exit of the corner. Now into the faster right left, but he's not really carried the speed into it, but trying to push it through the rest of it. Now down into the hairpin. He seems very cautious sort of at the apex of the corner and aggressive afterwards. It's a 28.8 sector 1, that's pretty good. Let's see how he gets on with turn 10. That's going wide. He's going to have to be careful on that curb. Manages to get the power down. DRS open. Now it's all about, can you get the car slowed down but carry the speed through this next left, right. Not quite clipping the apex.
Oh,
it runs a little wide. Managed to get away with it though. Could still be a good sector 2 time. Go on, be in the 39s. It's a 39.6. That is a fairly decent sector 2 time. Not the best, but we saw he did run a little bit wide. Now it's all about this last corner, where I messed up my final qualifying lap last night. Get hard on the brakes, clip that apex curb, hard on the power. He looks like he's got plenty of rear grip in this car compared to Rickster. DRS open, across the line, it's a 31.3. That takes him to second place.
He could have snatched pole if it wasn't for that understeer just before he was heading up the hill.
From a Racing GP is on an out lap. Dave the Harp is out of fuel. Charlie's lap is over. Acorn has retired. Rickster, he's back out on track. It's a 29.3 sector 1 and his car's looking wiggly. Hybrid Nuke, he's coming up to the penultimate corner now with just over a minute to go. Hybrid needs this to be a good lap, and I tell you what, he's had a 28.5 sector 1 on options, a 39.3 sector 2, DRS open. This could be a new pole. It is. It's a 30.9. Good end to the lap for him there. Now, who is out on track? Hindle, he's about to start a lap, so James, you keep an eye on Front Row Racing GP because he's also out there starting a lap. Hindle's just had pole position stolen off him by his teammate, so time for Hindle to fight back. The Hindle strikes back. We'll see about that by the end of sector 2. Okay, pretty good through turn 4 again. His car looking quite stable. What's the time going to be? It's a 28.5 sector 1. He's up by a tenth in sector 1. All about sector 2 then. I think it was a 39.3. That's his target. He can afford a 39.4. Anything slower and he's going to be in trouble, and we've been booted out of the pit lane. So let's go and ride on board with Hindle. We won't get to see his sector times, and he's further up the road than from a Racing GP at the moment. So for Hindle, he needs to have a good sector 2 here, and we're looking for that number 2 in the top left corner to change to a number 1. Only 2 corners to go. A little tweak of a lock-up. He's not really troubling the limits of the circuit, but that could be because of having invalidated laps in practice, not wanting to take the risk. Round the final corner though, hard on the power. That car looks absolutely planted at the rear end. Across the line, it's pole position. Okay, from a Racing GP, he's in 4th. How's his lap been looking, James?
It's been looking very slow, to be fair. It's not. He's given up.
Yeah, he looks like he's.
It's not looking like he's troubling those apexes.
No, he looks like he may be on an in lap. Adam 4600, I think, is also on an in lap, and that's pretty much going to be it, I reckon. Because Hybrid Nuke, oh, he did go for another lap, but he's not been able to improve on it. Unfortunate for him. Perhaps Hindle then just went with the 1 lap's worth of fuel, and Hybrid Nuke carrying that extra lap of fuel has perhaps cost him a little bit there. So qualifying session is now effectively over, Well, I'm kind of glad to see Farfba up there in third place at the moment. Last season, for the first half of the season, he was the guy to beat. And if he can have a clean start of the race and no collisions, he could really take the fight to Hybrid and Hindle. And with having Front Row Racing GP next to him, could be very, very interesting.
Yep, it's like I say, look at the difference there between P1 and P2. That is
close.
Just a bit.
Yeah.
And then behind, there's a fair jump to P3, but then we've got 3 drivers, P4, P5 and P6, GP, Davey Harp and Acorn, and they've got a whisker between them two as well.
Yep. Now, interestingly, my bad, Andy Russell and Richie Davey have not set lap times. That can only be strategic for the tyres, but if there was one thing that I would want to see from this race, it's that my bad and Richie Davey don't have another coming together where they lose the front wings and Andy Russell gets collected in that as well. But considering that they're all going to be starting at the back of the grid, the chances of that happening is quite high, and also we are going to have one of them behind us.
Yep.
But
it would be worth, just for future races, just to let the drivers know that if they go round and just do not even a full lap and just come straight back into the pit lane, don't set a lap, they will automatically be in front of us on the grid.
Yeah, if they set a sector 1 time and then drive round to the pits, they will. Okay, so we'll get ready then for the Front Row Racing World Series Round 4 in Bahrain. It is another Victoria's Secret Williams Racing lockout on the front row of the grid. They are starting to show a little bit of dominance here, and it's time for everybody else on the grid to take the fight to them. We've got 25 seconds until the start of the race. We'll have a look at the strategy here, but there's no wear on my tyres. It's saying 2-stop, option prime, but we could see anything from option prime to option prime option to option prime option to prime option. Strategies could be all over the place today. Okay, 3 seconds to go. Prediction.
Pain.
I wouldn't disagree with that. We're at 5 lights. Away they go. Okay, let's get on down to turn 1. Let's see what we can spot down there. Quite often there's a little bit of action. We've got almost 6 wide into turn 1. The contact. I think that's a Mercedes facing the wrong way. That's a huge collision.
Ooh,
there's cars without front wings all over the place.
Loads of bodywork. Oh, maybe got even more. And it's Ant and Andy Russell. They've lost even more.
Carnage then at the start of the race here. I tell you what, Front Row Racing GP, he's been bumped all the way back down.
Just lost his front wing. Oh, there's absolute carnage going on at the back. And
Dave the Harp's got no front wing. Adam 4600's got no front wing. There's a lot of cars with no front wing here.
Yeah, there was too much contact going on down there. Too many people trying to believe that they can win the race in the first corner.
Acorn 95's got no front wing as well. Hybrid Nuke and Hindle, though, they're battling for the lead.
No win either.
Yeah, we're going to have about 5 or 6 cars in the pits. So, James, if you can keep an eye on that one, keep an eye on all the cars that do go in the pits, well, we'll keep an eye on the lead here, because we've got Hindle in first place, Hybrid Nuke in second, Charlie up into third place. Farfba, though, he's down to fourth. Oh, Charlie runs very, very wide there.
Trying to get a wheelie going on there. He's trying to do a Mark Webber.
And not the type where he goes, I need to stop, blah, 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 I need to pit, blah. Although you never know, I mean, that could be me and you, the way we and you have been feeling today. It just be from the other end.
Going on here between the two Williams down to the front, and if you check on them, I'll see what's going on in the pit lane.
No problem. Hybrid Nuke unable to get a move done, but go on.
Got Rickster, Dave the Harp, Adam 4600, Acorn, My Bad. They're all in the pit.
So it's almost like a return to Australia then. Absolute carnage in the first few corners of the race. So many cars now in the pits. That's just going to have completely messed up all plan of strategy for them. Trust me, I know. It happened to me last night. But yeah, at least they've got someone to race against, whereas for myself it was a very lonely race for most of it. But Hindle seems to have been opening up a little bit of gap on Hybrid Nuke, but I do know always Farfba has made his way into third place. Last week's race, the Williams drivers said to each other, right, we won't attack each other for the first few laps. Let's just get ourselves a little bit of a gap, a bit of a buffer, and then we can fight each other. So Claire Williams sort of not putting the orders in, so to speak, but saying as a team, look guys, one of you two's got a great chance of winning the race. Don't throw it away battling each other in the first 2 or 3 laps. But I tell you what, Richie Davey, he's gone from the back of the grid, he's up to 5th place at the moment. And he's all over the back of Charlie.
Yeah, to be fair, Charlie's taking even more air, trying to be even more like Mark Webber. And he's unfortunately losing time. The more time you spend in the air, the less time the rear tyres are gaining traction.
Okay, so the big losers from the start of the race then, try and go through them in order. Front Row Racing GP went from 4th down to 6th. Andy Russell, he's benefited, but he's got Front Row Racing NW behind him. And Andy is on the prime tyre at the moment. Let's see what Nightwalker is on. He's on the prime tyre as well. Then we've got Ant in 9th place. Rickster's lost out massively. Dave the Harp lost out massively. Adam 4600 as well. My bad, another one. And Acorn 95, he is dead last, 56 seconds behind the lead.
And unfortunately for Acorn, I was watching him on board as he came into the pits. Both Mercs were missing both front wings, so he had to wait for Dave to get out of the way.
So that's what will have cost him additional time. Hindle has opened up a gap now, up at the front to his teammate Hybrid Nuke. Hybrid Nuke has still got a bit of a buffer to 3rd place, but he can't afford to let his teammate run away.
Richie Davey, he's looking like a bat. Hell, he's all over the back of Charlie. He's done him right round the outside already. But Charlie, if he stays smart, he can get the DRS and retake him down the pit straight.
Yep, DRS is now active. It's available for the drivers to use. Charlie, Richie's going for the pit. No, he's not. He's just doing a Richie do a Davey defensive line. That's just what he does, making sure that Charlie gets absolutely no slipstream from him. I tell you what, that's not actually that bad a tactic, because you can pretty much guarantee that Charlie would have been sat there going, he's going for the pits.
Oh, he's going for the pit. Yeah. I'm pretty sure I saw Alonso do that a few years ago.
Well, we've seen Alonso do a lot of things over the years, the latest being sitting in a deck chair at the side of the track, knowing exactly what he was doing. But, okay, let's have a little butchers down the grid. We saw Andy Russell with Front Row Racing NW behind him. Andy's pulling away from him. Rickster had pace early on, a little bit of a tail-happy car, but he's got Dave the Harp not too far behind him. But Rickster's nearly 40 seconds off the leaders. I mean, these guys race, it's all just been, well, it's a frustrating... Go on.
It's turned into 2 separate races, haven't they? It's turned into the cars that have had to lose front wings and the cars that didn't have to. The cars that didn't have to are halfway around the circuit.
Yep.
So unless these guys that have lost the front wings already in the race, they're going to have to come up with some sort of miraculous strategy decision in order to get back up there.
Yep. And in all honesty, they haven't really got any chance of getting close to the podium, I don't think. Not unless there is absolute disaster up at the front.
Talking of absolute disaster, we've got Farfba and Richie Davey. Almost touching going into turn 1, but Richie Davey's been smart. He's not lost his front wing yet. Farfba needs to get his elbows out and needs to get a bit aggressive on defence.
You do realise you have just cursed Richie Davey though by saying he's not lost his front wing yet. He's looking aggressive though. He's looking like he's got a bit more pace than Paul at the moment. So he won't want to be held up for long at all. Now, I did mention Richie Davey did take the victory on the road here last season. I can't remember, and I didn't have time to check whether it result after the race, but this must be a track where he feels he's got a little bit of pace. I mean, he's not a slow driver,
Yes.
and he's got a chance here as Paul had a wobble. Richie's that was the curse.
Rear end
Poking its head, that was. Turton and cloth comes to mind on that one. And for anyone that doesn't fully understand that, don't worry about it. I'll tell you what though, from a racing GP, he's starting to close in on Charlie now, and we're on lap 5, which means the pit stop window effectively opens up now for the next 4 laps.
Oh, Richie Davey up the inside into the last corner made Farper look like a bit of a mug there. I came out of absolutely nowhere. And this is side by side down the pit straight. Who's going to brake first? I think if Farper, if he's smart here, could dip back underneath, but no, he's braking straight on the racing line.
Playing the long game, perhaps. Oh, he's had a better exit.
Had a bad corner, yeah, really bad. He ended up all 4 wheels over the white line there. He's had to back out of it, and that's just put Farper all over the back of him again.
Yep.
The inside, better traction for Farper, who's going to be in front running into here. Side by side. Oh, Richie Davey just pushing the limits of what that car can actually do there. Now, I
did see in qualifying that Paul's rear end of his car looked very, very stable. Oh, Richie's off on the curb.
Oh, almost lost it then. That was... Oh, he's pushing Farper out there on the exit. This is getting very fisticuffs right now.
This has all the hallmarks of ending in disaster. Unfortunately, Ant69, his race is over. Some form of a retirement. Maybe he'll be able to send us a message or pop a message on the YouTube channel and can let everybody know what the reason for his retirement may be. But his race is now over. All he can do is watch from the stands or go to the pub. And while we've been watching Richie and mentioning that, Front Row Racing GP has got ahead of Charlie, but I kind of want to keep an eye on this battle because I think Paul's going to be going for some kind of DRS overtake. Is Richie going for the pits again?
David,
no, he's going for his defensive line. Paul spots it, thinking, you cheeky son of a racing driver.
Come here, let's have a bit of that slipstream. Is he going to dive it into turn 1? He is. Richie Davies going to have to go deep, which he is doing. But then Richie Davies compromised running up the hill, but I think Richie Davies got decent traction this lap.
Yeah, he's had a much better exit out of turn 2 and 3 on that occasion. Paul was hoping for a bit. Oh, Paul, a little late on the brakes there. Gives Richie a little bit of a nudge. Sends Richie a little bit out wide, but they hold position. That would have just made Farper clench his rear end a little bit. It's not so stable anymore. Now, is Front Row Racing GP catching them? Not quite. Andy Russell is into 6th place. Where's Charlie gone? I think Charlie may have pitted. He has. He's on the prime tyre. So, end of lap 6.
In front of Rickster.
Now, Rickster's on the option tyres, but Rickster's been on these options since the end of lap 1. Can probably only go 1 or 2 laps longer, so he may see Charlie pull away from him on the prime tyre, and that'll be very frustrating. Dave the Harp's not too far behind Rickster, but needs to get a shift on if he wants to do anything about it. Adam 4600 in 11th place, can still see Dave the Harp. My bad in 12th. Tough race for him. Acorn 95, he's coming out of the pits. He's got rid of his option tyres, put in on a set of primes. His race seems to be going from bad to worse as we see the pit lane unusualities that we've seen in Bahrain over practice, and he's come out of the pits right ahead of Hindle. Moves out of the way, lets him through.
Talking about the pits, we've got Farper. He's just pulled into the pits. Richie Davey was doing his classic technique of feinting towards the pit lane, and Farper thought, I'm not even bothering getting in a fight with you, I'll just jump in. And I think he may have put the prime tyres on. Just watching him coming out.
I think it's the options. I think it's the option tyre.
Yeah, brand new set of options. But unfortunately with this game, it's having a bit of a lag issue with the pit lane at the Bahrain Grand Prix, which is a bit of a nightmare. No, it is. I think it is a set of primes. Yeah, the white surface on them.
Oh yeah, you're right. I would say my error, but it was showing me yellow tyres until he TARDISed back. Okay, Charlie, he's not managed to gain on Paul over those pit stops at the moment. Now, are the leaders going to pit? I don't think...
It's the gap was close at the start. Then it sort of stretched out by about 3 or 4 seconds. It looks to be back down to about 2.5 seconds at the moment.
I thought for a moment Hybrid Nuke had Richie Davey all over the back of him. He hasn't. It's Acorn 95, who's recently pitted and is a lap down. Acorn will be devastated about how that first lap has gone.
How do you think it's going to go down in the Williams pit crew? I think Hybrid Nuke is
Hindle's in the pits.
Pit lane.
Hindle's he's gone for it, and Acorn is unlapping himself over Hybrid Nuke, showing that the prime tyre, a brand new set of prime tyres, is much faster than a worn set of options. But for Hybrid Nuke at this pit stop, it would have been up to Hindle when he pitted. And for Hybrid Nuke, this is going to cost him because he's got to go the extra lap. But Richie Davies chosen to do the extra lap.
Oh, absolutely awful corner there by Richie Davies. Just made that, rather than straightening the car up, he seemed to want to follow the edge of the apex, and that just maybe lost him at least a second through that corner. Okay,
Front Row Racing GP has made a pit stop. He's now on the prime tyres, I believe. Farfber's up to 6th place because of that stop. Charlie, I think, has managed to get a jump on Front Row Racing GP, who's down to 8th place. Got Rickster all over the back of him, but I think Rickster is going to be pitting again soon as GP going very, very defensive. Rickster trying up the inside anyway and then disappears and reappears ahead of him, although I think he may have ran a little bit wide. He has. Side by side they're going to go, but no, GP manages to get ahead. Went defensive.
Had a wiggle there. Really bad wiggle there by GP.
This is a point of the race as well. On a set of prime tyres, you don't want to be pushing them too hard, but if you've got a car attacking you, it's very difficult not to push them. I mean, on the upside, you push them, you're going to get the temperature up, but if you push them too hard, you're going to overheat them, and that's just going to destroy their tyre life. This is a situation, though, where for GP, if Rickster's got half a chance or gets his nose in, let him go. He's got another pit stop to do very, very soon. Chances are he'll be... chances are he'll be doing a DRS overtake, but I think Rickster's tyres have just sort of given him a sign. Given him a sign of you're going to have to pit, fella, because your rear end ain't hanging on.
Meanwhile, I don't know if this is for position. Let's just find where that is on circuit.
Richie Davies just pitted.
So Hindle and Andy Russell, P1 and 2. So Hindle's just overtaken Andy Russell. I think Andy Russell's been running them primes for a while now.
Yeah, he probably started on the prime tyres. Hybrid Nuke is still lapping. He's on lap 10 on his option tyres. Let's see what that gap is. 17.5 seconds. He's losing time now with Hindle having got ahead.
Nightwalker and Charlie JB side by side heading up the hill for P6. No, it's for P5. Oh, Charlie almost chopping the front end off Nightwalker there. He was giving absolutely no room whatsoever.
Oh, Nightwalker's run a little bit wide. That's going to compromise him. He's had to ease off. That's giving Richie Davey a good chance of catching up.
Seems to be a touch of lag with Nightwalker as I'm riding on board with him. His car does seem to be wiggling all over the place, and Richie Davies coming up behind him now.
On my view, it almost looked like the cameraman knocked into something. Or as Richie gives Nightwalker a little bit of nudge up the rear end, Front Row Racing GP is closing in. Now, I don't know exactly what may have happened to Richie over the last couple of laps, but if GP can hold on to the back of him, Richie was sat in sort of 3rd place, so may be able to gain. But
yeah, it does seem like Richie has lost out.
Oh, Nightwalker's very wide.
Yeah, very, very wide.
Well, yeah, I mean, Richie was ahead of Paul and Charlie, but Paul and Charlie are both ahead of him now, so I think he has lost out rather than the others gaining. Now, Hindle has retaken the lead.
Hybrid's just coming out of the pit lane now, he's just heading down into turn 1 and is currently running in P3. And Russell's now in P2.
I think that gap between Hybrid Nuke and Hindle is going to be rather huge now. Anywhere in the region of 5 to 10 seconds. It says 14 on the screen, but that's going to change fairly soon. I mean, I can only think that Hybrid's done this now to give him a better tyre life later on so he can attack more.
He's saying 12 seconds.
He's going to have to get a shift on.
Well, I'm going to count it. Let's get the good old... stopwatch out.
Now, Farfber, he's not too far behind. I think that time will come down, you know, from 12 seconds.
About 5 seconds, to be fair. the game's giving us a false reading there.
It is not surprising. It does usually take a couple of sectors to get a correct reading. I bet it will show a better one when he gets through sector 2. Well, Farf, but 12.5 seconds off Hindle at the moment. He needs to pull away from Charlie now. I think all of the drivers in the leading 6 cars are on the prime tyre. The question will be, are they going to go prime tyre for the end or option tyre for the end? I mean, what would you do, James? Oh no!
Oh, we've got some massive lag. GP's just seen a car lag in front of him, and he's on to try and get out of the way. Hybrid Nuke has left the session.
I've just been disconnected.
Disconnection, yeah. We've had massive disconnection there.
Okay,
Apologies to all the viewers watching.
I'm just going to see if I can get back to the session, see who we've got left on the circuit. I'm guessing you're still there, James? No, everyone's gone.
I'm not at this. Everybody's. I've got the current standings up. Yeah.
Take a picture of those standings, and I think we were on about lap 13. So what we'll do, we will do a safety car restarted 25% race. But we're going to have to get that all sorted out. Okay, for people on the live stream, we're going to shut down the live stream in a moment because we'll get all the drivers to reload their games. We'll do the same. Very annoying that that's happened here in what was looking to be a very, very interesting race there. Oh, really frustrating, that one. Okay, so bear with us a few moments, folks. We will come back on and we shall see what we can get going.
Apologies.